Hi, we're going to get started with our witches album, and let me grab you the copy here, or the first one. I've already basically done some of the prep so that it won't take as long, the tutorial, because what you're going to do is you're going to go to your craft store, secondhand store, and pick up a book, an old book. This one is an old thesaurus, or dictionary will work. And today, though, I'm going to be using, let me get this one. I kind of started so we wouldn't have to wait so long, and then that one. So I'm showing it in phases. Is a little bit, it's going to be smaller, and the printout, this printout is a free graphic on Pinterest, and it does say for personal use only. So basically, I don't sell anything in my store. The only thing I sell will be the glitter pen that I'm using, but it was such a fun project, I had to share it with you. Easy to make, and you can use. This is just things I found again at, some of it was at the secondhand store. These were just Halloween picks that I found at Michael's, and the roses, Tim Holtz. Now I'm going to turn the, oh yeah, and then your moss. It's available anywhere, even Walmart. So the back will look like this. We'll put down a piece of chipboard. And I'm going to be showing you the painting and some of the things that I used. First of all, you want a book. And then, like I said, I've been painting this one, so I got a little head start, and I'll show you how I put down this chipboard. This is just a scrap piece of chipboard, and what it's going to do is hold your book open. And I didn't want the platform with this, and then you can, like you've maybe seen with some, I don't know if you've seen these, where the idea came about. Of course, I've seen the Christmas ones. I can't talk today either, I'm so sorry. I've seen ones that are made for the night before Christmas or Christmas Story, which you can definitely make those for. And they were $90 while we were traveling home from our last retreat on the cruise. And I'm like, oh no, I'm going to go home and make this. Books were $1.99 at the craft store. I mean, the second-hand store. And the first thing you want to do is get a squirt bottle. Some of the other things that I've used, I really like this Liquitex. Picked it up at Joann's. I like it because it stays flexible. Mod Podge. You're going to want this. Not only helps to give that antique, I use the antique mat. It crumples up your paper. It gives it that older look, and it's just really cool, but you're going to get messy. I meant to have gloves, and I didn't grab them. Second will be the printout. You have two options. There's two formats. So I did print off the 5x7, but she also has the taller one that I used in the original book. Old paintbrushes are a must because you just want to throw them in the garbage, or I do. Picked them up at Michael's with my coupon. They were like $3. Then a heat gun. I love this heat gun, but you can also use a regular heat gun. This one you'll find in the craft stores. I don't sell one, but you got to be careful. Why they'd put plastic on the end is beyond me, because it starts to melt. This came from Home Depot or Lowe's. Anyway, it's the Wagner. Gets good and hot, and it will burn your paper. So disclaimer, if you want to burn your papers, I do not recommend you do this, but I did it. I just want you to know I do not hold any liability. Don't burn around children, dogs, cats, animals, because this gets extremely hot. They could get burnt. You could get burnt, so please be careful. Or you can use matches, which I don't like to use matches. I don't even keep matches in the house, basically. This works great. But again, use at your own risk. But you're going to love it. I promise. And then you might want something to put your Mod Podge in. And I'm using parchment paper. Love parchment paper. I keep a roll of it in my craft room because it's a great surface protector. You're going to want your glue gun. then you just want things that you find that you, maybe even old sticks in the yard. Maybe you go on a nature walk and collect a bunch of cool old stuff. We're just going to hot glue it down. So to get started, you're going to take your squirt bottle, and I'm not going to squirt the whole book. I'm going to give you the idea so that we can move on. Otherwise, it would take hours. You just want to start by spraying the pages. You don't want to get the book soaking wet. If you do get it soaking wet, well, you're not going to ever get it dry. This book that I'm painting now, that we'll be working on, never did get totally, it's not going to be dry while I'm working on it. It'll take a few days, but that's okay. That's when more character starts to develop, which I noticed in my bigger book. What happened is, see, my pages started to curl up, and I absolutely love it. So it will definitely continue to take shape as it dries. So that is what you're going to want to do. And then if you want to help the process along, you can definitely take your heat gun, being careful because it will start to burn the pages. Okay, so that is what you'll do. One thing I loved about the smaller book, and I did, like, they were $1.99 at our secondhand store. Plus, see how fat it's getting? It had this red on here, so it looks really cool. I'll show you on the book we're working on. Next, let's find our center somewhat. Because this is where your piece of chipboard is going to come into play. That's what's going to hold your book open. The chipboard, I really didn't even measure. I believe it's about a 5x7. It was just in my leftover bin. What you're going to do, you're going to paint. You want to paint this as wide as your chipboard, or you can just paint the whole thing. Just take your brush, and I'll do another coat. Let's do a coat on here, and then I'll show you what I did. I just squirt this on. Takes a couple of coats, but you got to remember, this is also the back. You're not going to be too worried if anybody sees it, because they're not, basically. But I did put 2 coats, and we'll go back. Excuse me. We'll go back to working on this one that's dried. Once you get it to this point, and it looks like this, which this is 2 coats. I turned my glue gun up really high, so how hot. See, you can really burn yourself. And I just did. So let's spray that with some water here. Don't touch that heat gun, and make sure it's far out of the way. And you're going to see my glue gun is actually smoking. I need to turn it down. This sucker gets super hot. But for this part, I wanted it super hot. But I don't want it super hot when I go to do the paper. But if you don't have a glue gun that is, you can change the temperature, it's okay. You don't have to have it. I mainly did it so it would get my sticks hot, and so that I could be working. Usually though, I only keep this at about 170. And I've had this. It's a wonderful, I can't remember the name of it. I got it on Amazon and years ago. I'm not even worried about this mess back here, because actually I've taken the hot glue, smeared it around, and painted it, and it looks kind of cool. But all you have to do is take your heat gun and basically melt it down. Then you're going to put more paint, and then you want to paint this whole thing, and then it will start to look like this. So here we are, now it's dried, so we can work it. Before I throw my paintbrush away, that's why I like these cheap ones, and you're not looking for that super, you know, clean, great job, as if you were making something a little more pristine. You're looking for a witch's book, right? Now you can see when you get that chipboard on, it'll lay nice and flat. You can set it up in an easel. Then I already took my seam binding. I'm just using seam binding. You're going to feed it right through there, which I'm going to do on this one with you, to give you an idea if I don't burn my arm on that. So I just, oh, you can also just hot glue it on the inside there and bring it through. Okay. I'm going to tie this one in a knot so it's long enough so you can see what I did. I didn't tie the other one in the knot. I'm just doing that to make it long. So I fed it through the book. And I'm sorry, the reason I'm having to show it this way is I realized I did all the other recording. Guess what? My microphone wasn't on. So I just tied a knot there and then let it hang. So I'm going to cut this. I'm going to move that over and continue working with this book. Now, the links below that'll be in this video, like I said, you can print off either one of these. For this size book, I mean, print them both and see. The other book took the 8x10, and you'll just, this one will print 2 to a sheet. The other one you'll have to print them each separate. And then also, now that we're drawing, my book is still damp, so your book will probably be damp. That's okay. But now I want to get rid of, even though we're going to do some gluing, I'm going to just, even if you glue pages down, that's going to be just fine. I'm going to do some painting around the edge. Parchment paper is great. You don't have to worry about messing up your area. And then also, we're just trying to get rid of any, there we go, anything that might look modern, you know, that we don't want to show through. And then also, it's just gonna glue our pages down. Just kind of going along the inside. Let's do into the outside. And remember, I'm showing you this as if, so anybody could do this, a beginner. If you're more experienced, you're probably getting out your gesso, you're probably getting out more of your mixed media stuff, and that's okay. But a lot of you probably don't have that stuff on hand, and I'll be honest with you, I don't either, even though I use it. It does have its uses on a lot of projects, but I want you to make this, have fun, and even, you know, this would be a great thing you could do with teenagers, but not the not the heat guns. Please supervise. And I'm not going for, you know, even consistency here, because I don't want that. Now, this part though, we do want to paint in a little bit more. And this will come off great with Dawn and a scrub brush. Or wear gloves. I have gloves, but did I grab them? No. The main thing is you've got drying time in between everything you do. See, pages are going to start popping up here. And just let it kind of do its thing. Actually, this would be a fun project to get the girls together. A little wine, a little hot chocolate, and see what you come up with. Go to the thrift store, get your books. And we're going to be gluing some pages down, so the paint's going to help hold some of them. Now I'm just going to kind of help bring our shape. Okay, we have drying time on that. I'm going to set this aside. Parchment paper. I'm not going to, man, I broke my arm on that gun, see? I don't know if you can see it. Of course, I'm sure you don't even want to see it. What am I doing here? Sorry, guys. I touched that gun and oh, it was hot. Okay, I'm going to cut this out, but you want to leave a border because we're going to be doing some burning. I'm going to move this up so you can kind of see, yeah, what I'm doing. I'm just checking the fit. And I definitely don't want them to be the same. So I'm not even worried about what I'm cutting, where I'm cutting, what I'm doing. We're going to turn them over. Now you can put these in your oven, and a lot of you may do that. Please stay with your oven, of course. I'm not going to use the oven. Show you what I do. Take my heat gun. This is where we're going to start having some fun. Now, let's get a little bit drier. Some time for that water to have soaked in. See, and it's just going to easily come off. That wasn't very wet, so it's not. Anywhere that it didn't, just go ahead and don't worry about messing up the picture unless you want it to be a little more perfect, then that's okay, of course. I didn't even put the heat gun on this. Ah! But that's okay. It's just going to have different character. Put the heat gun on there first. See, actually I can have it ripped apart a little bit. So definitely let it soak in a little bit more. But this is where some fun can begin. Keep your hands away. See? You're going to start seeing some burnt areas. Now, I originally did put this in the oven, and I found it just wasn't doing what I wanted it to do like this. See, actually, it's going to start on fire. So just have your stuff ready. Only use this in a controlled area. And do not show children what they can do with the heat gun. See how it's really aging? And then where it burnt, you can even scrape some of that away if you want. I'm just going to use this torn because that's going to look really cool. Let's get a little more. That clear out of range. Oh, I'm going to go ahead and throw this brush in the garbage. And then I have an old bone folder. Old. Now, we're going to do the same thing to our book. We're going to kind of burn some edges here. You'll see them start curling up. Excuse me, curling up, but have your water handy. So it's starting to burn. Have that spray bottle right with you. Now the reason I'm burning it more on the inside here is it's going to push my pages up. I'll show you from the edge. And I know it looks like hell right now, but that's what you want. You want it to look that way. Keep your hands away. See how that red seeped in? I love it. So if you find a book with the gold on it, that's going to look pretty cool also. And we're just concentrating mostly on the edges. See the magic happen there? Get some on top. to show you this picture. My daughter's in, whoops, that's our book. My daughter's in Yellowstone, whoops. And look at that bear. How fun is that? That just came through. She said they're baby bears. Okay, I want to get down here a little bit more. Remember, do not do this without a bottle of water with you. I'm going to do the top and the bottom, and then we're going to move on. We'll be ready to add our graphics. Okay, this is, like I said, I can't emphasize enough, and you might be tired, but it's a craft project that you definitely want to supervise if you're going to have kids do it with you. I wouldn't let them do any of that, of course. All right, let's get up in the camera. Now, this is where we're going to do the Mod Podge. And our graphics are going to go down. Time to get rid of that. And if this is too thick, definitely, I think it's too thick. I'm adding water to mine. And there's recipes if you want to make your own. But once again, we're not worried about neatness. Because we're going to be adding it more in other places too. But it's also going to really help form your pages. So before we do, let's go ahead and just get, what I did is I just put it in a few spots. I'm just going to push my pages up. There we go. Now we're getting that look. And I really do like to water down my mod because it is pretty thick. Like I said, don't attempt this project unless you have gloves or if you don't like messes. But I'll tell you what, once you make it, you're going to be like, oh, this is great. I'm going to make more. Okay. Usually with Mod Podge, you want that nice, smooth. But here, you know, we don't. That's why I use my fingers. Not worried about my string because it's going to be covered with tons of embellishments. It's one of those projects you don't really have to worry about anything. But getting the string on now was just easier, or your thread, whatever you want to use, or you don't even have to use anything in the middle of your book. It just was easier. We're just going to pick a few pages and kind of smash things up. There we go. Like I said, I don't claim this to be a right way, a wrong way. It's just plain old fun. over a little bit so we have more room for our embellishments in the center. This one's a little harder to work with because it is torn. It doesn't want to, there we go, straighten it. And when I do Mod Podge on other projects, you always just want a nice, smooth finish. Again, no right or wrong here. Okay. Go along the bottoms. Just going to give it a little bit of that sheen, but antique-y look. See how it's run? So when that dries, that'll actually look very cool. Already, I think, looking cool. So now we have drying time, and I can go get my hands cleaned up. And you are now going to be ready for embellishments and moss and glue. You need your hot glue gun, and we're still going to be using Mod Podge, so don't put that away. It's been about, well, not quite an hour that this has been drying. I'm just going to pick up some pages now. Like I said, you just need to shape this how you want it to look. But again, it's really cool how it turned out. Okay, also, when you look at it, see how it's pliable? Looking at this, the brush marks are black here. If you don't like those, and I'm trying to decide here, I think I'm going to go ahead and add some more black, but I'm going to add this. No, we're not going to add it to the Mod Podge. I take that back. I'm going to take a smaller brush and just put it up here so it won't be near. So we're going to do more Mod Podging, whatever. Now I'm going to go ahead and cover up edges of my paper. I don't want to cover those burnt ones because the burnt ones looked cool. That one didn't have as many burnt ones at the top. Now, as my book dried, see how it kind of pulled away from this edge? Which is normal because that was a leather binding and so it shrank. I'm just going to cover that up. I've got some pages that are coming out here. I'm going to leave them because it looks kind of cool because I'm going to burn it. Nope, that side looks good. I'm going to move my arm far away from here. Why do I always forget something? And I'm going to burn this edge. You ready? It's burnt a little bit. We're going to burn it some more. My gun's got to heat up a little bit more. And I love the smell of this old book. It's pretty old. And I still have my squirt bottle handy, just in case. Wilbur, what have you got? Drop it. got it from my bow maker. He doesn't, he wants to go upstairs. He's going to get a little hiney in a bind here. There it goes. Okay. We're just going to brush that off because then it looks burnt. Looks pretty cool. Yes, it's messy. You definitely will have to get out your shop vacs after and clean up. I'm going to do a little more of the Mod Podge this time. I'm not going to really water it down because I'm just doing the center part. I just noticed a few, like right there, where I missed. And then this black will end up drying a little more matte, so this will be added. And again, to speed the process, you can use your heat tool. Plus, see, your heat tool will help it bubble up. See that bubble? I don't know if you can see it. It's bubbling up. It bubbled it up. Watch. See if we can get it on camera here. There goes some bubbles. Be very careful, please, while you're using. There, it really goes on that one. Cool. And then it will lay down flat, but you'll see where it's bubbling a little bit in the paper. Okay. Looks like a blister. Fun, isn't it? Okay, we're going to grab the bag. I'm going to grab my moss. I have more, but I'm going to start with this because it is a smaller book and it is messy. I want to show you a couple of things. So I do have another one of the Tim Holtz brooms. See, this is a headdress, and actually it has some ribbon that can be used. So I found this at the thrift store. This came from Michael's. This came from Michael's, so let's do some leaves. And then there was just a vine of black roses, perfect for this. And here's what, so I've already pulled this basically apart because I want this. I pulled it apart for the last one. This again was at the thrift store, but it was like in its new, it was kind of, was new. They also at our Savers do sell some new things, so I'm going to remove that side and I'm going to actually put this in the center so I can add a string to it. And tie it. I don't think I'm going to use the fingers this time, so I'm going to remove those. So I'll be able to get 3 or 4 books just out of this. These are made for your fingers, but let me tell you, I don't know whose fingers are going to fit in there. Because it sure ain't mine. I'm just going to use the seam binding. Actually, I don't even need that jump ring. I'll leave it just in case, but I can actually put this right through. I'm going to tie it around something so it hangs in the center of the book. And this is where you're just going to get very creative. Like I said, my book, even after hours and hours, I can feel it, it's still damp, and that's okay. And then it's all boiled and bubbled there. It's cool. So let's go ahead now and add another layer of our Mod Podge just right on that black paint that is now dry. You can see it bubbling up. But you'll definitely see it on yours bubbling up if you're using an industrial type heat gun. Now we just want to lay things down and see, you know, where we're at. This is a smaller book than my last one, so I will be cutting some things apart. Oh, we need to bring now our strings or ribbons, whatever you're using, down so they hang out the bottom. I will be putting moss in there also, but we'll stuff that in after. Right now we're just going to lay out some things that we might want. Sleeves might be a little big, so I think I'll go definitely with the little oak ones this time. That one's huge. Let's see if we can get some smaller ones here. I don't want to completely, you know, cover up my wording. Feathers, a little bling. Actually, let's put I think we'll take the feathers off this time because it is smaller. Sticking those guys in later. Just now took 2 of the black roses off. And the little berries for color, maybe. Purple would look nice too. This down, and then I'll be able to stuff. I do have to have some feathers, so I do, and I found this is for me the best way, I just start. And it seems like then things will come together. We're going to start just with some glue. So we wanted these guys. Now this is where that bone folder, the used one, will come in handy. So what's fun is just to see it take shape. I'm loving those bubbles. And it's messy. I do have silicone tools. Yes, I should get them out and use them, but it's just how it is. Let's put a feather in between. Your other little leaf. Feather. We'll get all these strings off in just a minute. I'm going to kind of squish it down in my book. Just smush that down in there. So I've learned early on, you can do the placement. It's not going back the same, I don't care, no matter what I try. But I always think it goes back better after I've added the glue and stuff. And these roses, so I'm gonna cut. It's just a black vine you can get at Michael's. I just noticed he's really cute. Has a cute little leaf on it. I could have used. Let's see. Oh yeah, we're gonna stuff that down in there. I'm just stuffing that in there. That's the leaf. Now I'm going to take the gun, heat gun, but you want to be careful because you don't want to loosen your glue, but I want to just get rid of those glue strings. Yeah, I do want this, but I'm not so sure I'll need this with the. I'm going to cut that off. And you can also use E6000. And we can make a bow there. Oops. Looks pretty cool. I think I'm really loving this little size. Let me get into my little Tim Holtz stuff. Let's see what we've got smaller that that we could maybe stick on here. Kind of eerie. I have two little kids. Whoop. And they're on chipboard, so that'd be kind of cool, huh? Oh, yes. We'll have the whole, as they say, damn family there. The whole family. These are kind of fun, the Tim Holtz ones. So I'm just going to find a place I can get it in there. Glue that down. Now I do need to turn this up. The glue just is not melting. And that's the beautiful thing about this seam binding. I'm going to pull apart the bottom. So I'm just shredding it like you would if it was burlap. You know how you just kind of pull the threads? Our little broom, he's definitely going to go on, but that's going to go on after we do this moss. So let me just move all of this so I don't, I'm going to have to get a container now for my Halloween stuff. And my black rose. One thing I'm going to do too, so I still have a little black paint on here. I just want to touch up these edges. Oh my word, looks like their head's cut off right there. Use my finger, run that black around. Okay, the messy part. This is way messy. Moss. Yeah, we're going to need more. And having a shop vac in your craft room is very helpful. So just pick up an area. So our page will stick. So let's hold that for just a moment. And go ahead and get this spread out before we Looking cool. Now, I'm going to open this back page because I want it glued down. Oh, yeah, that's getting hot. I'm going to grab another glue stick. Because we'll probably need it before we're through. And see the people in there? Ooh, that's looking cool. But I'm going to go ahead and glue that down so that we don't find a different place. Definitely have to open my other bag. And I'm loving the way that just poked up like that, so I'm going to leave it. So I'm going to add some glue where I want to form that so it stays and get it there closer. So see, it really starts taking personality. It just like comes alive. Now you could even put some teeth in there. Wouldn't that look cool? Oh, it's a different color. Okay. Well, I didn't check that. I'm going to put some of that in and then put the green on the edge of my next one. So, do make sure. To be honest with you, I loved the moss from Michael's because it had sticks in it. Kirkland moss, or Ashland moss, it had sticks in it. So, it was pretty cool. There we go. And look at it, even had, one of them even had a little rock. I just thought that was really neat. So, let's tear that open, definitely. So I'm just going to take some of the leftover first. So you can get that green here on the edge. Brown in. Get up and tap. Stick in there. Okay. Now I'm just going to go through randomly on my pages, and then I'll show you as you lift up, you're going to start seeing more personality from the heat, from the paint, just from everything we've been adding. So I'm looking for loose areas. Add some more. You want it to stay. There we go. Any boo-boos we're just going to touch up. Now, I'll have to admit, this is this has been a really fun project, making them. You kind of have to go in stages, but we're gonna add. I know I'm gonna add some more. I'm gonna let that dry, and I want to grab my glitter. So I want to show you. We've got some different colors. The fall, there's a pack of 3, and they're the fall. Let me shake them up a little bit. These are more of the copper. These are, this one's sweet apricot. This one doesn't have a name. Let me grab a different one. This one has kind of a pressed peony, so it's got some red. And again, this is more of a red. We're gonna go with this one. I have a gold one. That's what I used before. So the first thing you do, without getting the tip too dirty, you just kind of poke it like that. Then I went on the edges, and I use my fingers. They're made for, oh my gosh, you can do so many things with these. You can write. Because they're glitter markers. So I'm just kind of going along the edge. Like I said, I'm not being super careful, except for here at the top. We won't do the front of the book yet. Then we'll do the sides and the tops. Like there's a little boo-boo there. So I'm just going to glitter that in. Okay, we're going to let that dry for a minute, and then we're going to do the top of this. Okay, for here, see how I've got some glitter marker here? Now I'm just going to go ahead and rub it on. In fact, I'm really liking this sweet apricot on here. So push down, just let some of it come out. Or not. You can use any kind of mixed media product, actually. You can use paste, waxes, anything. Anything that you want. Now, I'm going to go ahead, see where we have the 2 different color mosses. I'm going to take some of this other then. I'm going to stuff it in here to blend. Kind of like blend these guys in. And then we're going to do one more check to see where we need to glue some pages down. Because you don't really want it to come open like that. Do some cleaning up here. So I'm going to just pick up this page and see where I have lifts. Okay, let's hold that. And then if you want that down, we're just going to add some glue. Kind of roll it. And right up here in this top, where I'm going to stick some more moss. Sorry about everything just flipping and flopping. So I did the blue, and we're just going to poke it in there. So I had to turn the camera off for a minute because my husband walked in and he's just amazed at how each one is different and how they're all turning out. Ugh, like that, so I don't do it. Whoops, let's get it popped back down. Trim it if you want. Oh, Lord. Wilbur, what have you got? I could have swore I heard him chewing on something. Now, this is a smaller, like I said, we've been working on a smaller version. Whoops. See, then we can add some more adhesive. This has to be cleaned. You got something you're not supposed to. Oh no, he doesn't. Poor Wilbur. He actually is being a good boy. He has his own toy, the broom. I'm doing this just to add some glitter to it. So you can see how versatile these are. Now the decision is, do I want to start coming out my book? Do you want it? Yeah, that's definitely going to stick off the side. Ouch, it's hot. Water's a good thing to have. Okay, we got some floppies here. Yep. Hold it down. I'm holding it together and just shaking to get it somewhat cleaned up before we use our heat gun again. Because if any of this is loose, then you're going to want to either cut it or just glue gun it so you don't have a mess in your house. Moss can go even in here. It can go, gosh, anywhere. And then you can set this right up on an easel. I want to go over it again with the heat gun to get rid of the glue strings. But not too much because you don't want to loosen any glue. Just melt them off. Pick up your book. Yeah, you'll have to just go through, you know, where it's lifting. And add your hot glue. Because if you are going to set this on an easel, but you can lay it flat also, but sitting on an easel, you definitely don't want it to flop open. Or maybe you do. Okay. cleaned up because it's very messy. Then you can touch up any paint if you need, if it's going to show, or if you just want it because of the neat, because, you know, if you're a neat freak, that's okay. I'm just doing this to get rid of any strings. And there you have another version of your witch's, what do we want to call it? Spell book. Now it's just up to you playing. And I know this is an absolute disaster here. It's not the best, but I do want to show you. There's that one that we just did. And I want to show you this one again. So this is now completely dried. And of course it's quite a bit bigger. So it's completely dried. I think I may go through now and just do a little burning of the edges a little more, which you can definitely do after. You just want to be careful you don't loosen any of your hot glue. And here's our small one. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial, and I also hope that you'll share with us on Scrapbookers of Country Craft Creations your finished project, because I'd love to see your finished witches books. Even on our Scrapbookers page, we usually only post items that are made from our design team, but this is a tutorial, even though there's nothing from my store basically but the glitter pens. We'd love to see your finished book. So I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope to have more mixed media projects I consider this for the beginner, because we're just using basic supplies from the scrapbook stores, or from Joann's, Hobby Lobby's, or my store. And so I'm hoping to do some more of these with you. So I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you for watching.